No two ways to it. Charming this county the Blackclads granted Caldwell to rape.
Yes, a gift so lovely Caldwell could not refuse. Et Dahi, it seems, wished to be rid of the Count, so as to rule Lyria alone.
I do wonder why they quarrelled.
Caldwell wished to rule by Willem's hand, and by his claim. Of little benefit to Nilfgaard, so the general disapproved.
As do I. By all means.
Bigger they are, easier they are to tug.
Elven blarney.
We'll catch 'em all!
Couple of seconds, all right?
Hi-ho, hi-ho!
You mad? Don't shake that! Sorry, Turnips back for an encore.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Water. This is poison.
Scoia'tael! Attack!
Quick and painful this'll be.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
One bullet's all I need. Give me a time.
Our ballista, your command. Armor wars.
The Lyrians came to a crossroads. As Meve and her scouts conferred about the proper path to take, a footman, of a sudden, collapsed upon the muddy ground. His comrades strove to rouse him. Alas, to no avail. Meve called for a medic. One arrived post-haste. He checked for wounds, a heartbeat, all else for which a medic checks. Then he peered down the soldier's throat. In a flash, he was on his feet, his hand over his mouth, backing away.
What's with him? What's wrong?
The Queen asked, her eyes darting between the medic and his patient.
Typhus exanthematicus, Your Grace.
Replied the physician, wiping his hands with a spirit-soaked cloth.
Typhus fever.
Contagious?
Extremely, I fear. Though not yet at this stage. The spots are but in his mouth for now. Tomorrow he'll be blotched all over. It's then the disease turns infectious.
I see. What about a cure? Is one known?
The medic looked at Meve, shook his head and shrugged. Alas, there was precisely naught he could do. But where medicine fails, magic may at times stand in. Without giving it two thoughts, Meve called for Isbel.
It's typhus, I've no doubt.
The healer confirmed.
I know a spell that could be helpful. Vigal's cleansing, we call it. It takes time to prepare and many ingredients. Rather costly, or...
Coin's no object.
Said Meve.
Get to work at once.
Isbel returned from the local herbalist with herbs valuable and rare. Fern blossoms, mandrake root, comfrey seeds, and more. She then pulled from her bundle a variety of vessels, funnels, retorts, alembics, carafes. Colored concoctions she then brewed, steam and strange odors rising from them. Hours later, after much effort, she had a few drops of a thick substance in a flask. Isbel whispered an incantation, then gave the remedy to the dying man. His tremors and fever subsided at once, the other symptoms fading within hours. At last, Meve could breathe a deep sigh of relief.
Give me a time.
Onward! To victory!
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Arbalist at your command.
Hey?
Armor won't say.
For no visible reason, the Lyrian column came to a halt. Meve stood in her stirrups in a bid to see the cause. Something had blocked the way, it seemed. Something large. A tree felled by a storm, or an abandoned wagon, the Queen thought. Neither was true. A boulder huge as a barn lay in their path. Footmen had slung ropes around it, planted their feet, and now sought to pull it aside. It did not budge an inch.
Perhaps I could assist you.
Meve turned in her saddle on hearing the voice. Several travelers in faded robes warily crept from the trees. A young woman with long, light-colored hair led the way.
You don't much resemble a rock troll.
Said the Queen, eyeing the slender stranger skeptically.
But go on, do try.
The fair-haired lass crouched beside the stone, closed her eyes, and began to whisper. Horses wheeled and tugged at their reins. A hound howled in the distance. And then, the boulder rolled to the side like an apple crossed the deck of a boat rocked by seas.
Who are you? Do tell.
A druid.
Came her calm response.
This stone. It stood in our circle.
The woman silently turned toward the wood. Meve followed her gaze, and among the trees saw other large stones, cracked and scorched.
What happened here?
We refused the Nilfgaardians' aid,
answered the druid.
so they razed our shrines, though perhaps it's a blessing.
A blessing? How so?
A darkness fell upon Angren a time past, and it grows. The forest turns savage, its creatures drunk on blood. Folk have come to worship other cruel gods. It's time we abandoned this land forsaken and went south, to Kedmerkvid.
Our path leads south too, though not as far.
Said the queen.
Do join us. Given the times, there's safety in numbers.
The druids agreed, and were grateful. They walked at the rear of the column, muttering prayers, their faces concealed beneath hoods.